the Hungarian authorities have removed a much-loved statue of Imre Nagy, hero of the 1956 anti-Soviet uprising, from a square in central Budapest. The Nagy statue is being moved to Yashimari Square, another location away from the Parliament building. Some critics accuse Prime Minister Viktor Orban's nationalist government of revising the country's history. A monument to the victims of a short-lived communist regime in 1990 will replace the Nagy statue. Imre Nagy was hanged in 1958 for his role in the uprising. A pro-reform communist, he had sought to free Hungary of hardline communist rule. But in 1956 the revolt was crushed by Soviet tanks. Pro-Moscow hardliners were reinstalled in power. The statue was erected in 1996 at Martyrs Square. In 1989 Viktor Orban, the anti-communist activist, addressed a rally celebrating the reburial and rehabilitation of Imre Nagy. But in recent years Mr. Orban has forged closer ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin, a former KGB officer who has restored Soviet-era symbols and who regrets the collapse of the United States Syria. The new monument at Martyrs Square will replicate one that stood there during the pro-Nazi rule of wartime Admiral Miklos Holy, who fueled anti-Semitism. Nagy's granddaughter Katalin Yanosi is among those opposed to the square's redevelopment. Mr. Orban's supporters say the aim is to return parts of the capital to their pre-World War II appearance. Before the decades of communist rule, there have been many tweets protesting at the disappearance of the Nagy statue. 1. Sometime during the darkest hours last night, as planned, but in secret, no witnesses, the monument of Imre Nagy, Prime Minister of the Hungarian Revolution, was removed from a square next to the Budapest Parliament, where it has stood since 1996. https://t://co.uk/9fmsa. End of Twitter post by @Shakianos. A popular tourist attraction, has become the latest Chinese company to show solidarity with Huawei's chief finance officer, Meng Wanzhou, who was arrested in Canada on 1 December. Shannon Mountain Scenic Park, in eastern Hainan province said it would waive the $9.65 ticket fee for anyone carrying a Huawei phone. Ms. Meng, who was given bail in Canada, faces extradition to the United States on charges of breaking Iran sanctions. Her case has upped tensions with China. Use Huawei phones. Shoot grand photos on the mountain. A notice on the Shannon Park's social media account said, "We wish friends around the world who support Huawei's success and bliss." The offer would last until 29 December, the South China Morning Post reported. But it was met with some criticism among China's social media users, who claimed it was discriminatory. Huawei phone owners are being offered other enticements too. They can get a 20% discount at a border in Beijing. Seen in Beijing, bring a Huawei phone and get 20% off. Similar to this story we covered yesterday. https://t://qxl19ypqlpic. Twitter. Komsokolov. End of Twitter post by @LuOceanG. At least one firm has threatened to penalize anyone buying Apple products. A few days ago, Manpada Shenzhen-based LED and display manufacturer offered subsidies to any employees buying Huawei phones. It also pledged to fine anyone who bought an Apple iPhone. United States prosecutors alleged Ms. Meng
46
used the Huawei subsidiary called Skycom to evade sanctions on Iran between 2009 and 2014. They also alleged she publicly misrepresented Skycom as being a separate company from Huawei, and that she deceived banks about the true relationship between the two companies. Ms. Man, who is the daughter of Huawei's founder, has denied any wrongdoing and said she will contest the allegations. Life of Huawei's high-flying heiress. The United States has been investigating the Chinese telecoms giant, the world's second-largest smartphone maker, since 2016, believing that it used Skycom to bring United States manufacturing equipment and millions of dollars in transactions to Iran in violation of sanctions. Ms. Man's detention comes amid an increasingly acrimonious trade dispute between Washington and Beijing. China is angry at her detention, saying she has not violated any laws. Beijing has threatened severe consequences unless Canada releases the executive. Since her arrest, 2 Canadians, a former diplomat and a businessman, have been detained in China on suspicion of harming national security. United States President Donald Trump said last week that he might intervene in the United States Justice Department's case against Ms. Man if it would serve national security interests. I'll help achieve a trade deal with China if I think it's good for what will be certainly the largest trade deal ever made, which is a very important thing. What's good for national security? I would certainly intervene if I thought it was necessary, he told Reuters news agency. Canada reacted by urging Mr. Trump not to politicize the situation. Our extradition partners should not seek to politicize the extradition process or use it for ends other than the pursuit of justice, Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland said. The United States military says it has killed 62 fighters from the Islamist group Al-Shabaab in 6 airstrikes in Somalia. 4 airstrikes on Saturday killed 32 militants, and a further 2 on Sunday killed 28, it said in a statement. These were the deadliest air attacks in Somalia since November 2017, when the United States said it had killed 100 militants. Somalia has seen a sharp increase in the number of airstrikes and casualties since President Donald Trump took office in the United States in January 2017. A tally by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism reveals that at least 400 people have been killed in airstrikes since the beginning of 2017, far more than the previous 10 years combined. The latest strikes bring to at least 40 the number carried out in Somalia so far this year, compared with 35 recorded in 2017. The United States has a huge military base in neighboring Djibouti, from where it launches attacks on the militants. Mr. Trump gave the United States military greater authority in March 2017 to attack militants in Somalia. Traditionally, United States presidents have been wary of intervening in Somalia since 18 Special Forces soldiers died fighting militias in the capital Mogadishu in 1993, a battle dramatized in the film Black Hawk Down. No civilians were killed in the latest airstrikes, which were carried out in coordination with the Somali government, the United States military said. Alongside our Somali and international partners, we are committed to preventing Al-Shabaab from taking advantage of safe havens from which they can build capacity and attack the people of Somalia, the United States Africa Command said. Al-Shabaab, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has not yet commented on the latest strikes. Somalia-based security think tank the Higher Institute said in a report published in November that Al-Shabaab had been forced to change tactics following the upsurge in airstrikes. The institute said the group was not conducting fewer mass attacks on military bases, but attacks on government offices and businesses which refused to pay its taxes had increased markedly. The United States State Department, in its most recent report on terrorism, described Somalia as a terrorist safe haven, and said Al-Shabaab remained a threat. Despite suffering setbacks, the group retained control over large parts of the country, and the ability to carry out high-profile attacks, using suicide bombers, explosive devices, mortars, and small arms. The report added,